Hello everyone, my name is Jaanus. Here's my slides. Let's make them full screen as well. Great. So I'm a lot of you, many of you might know me already. I'm a teacher in University of Tartu. I'm teaching different game development courses, and I'm also a big fan of game development and jamming myself. And today I will give you practical guides of how to survive and how to shine in this jam. And in addition to those practical tips, I will quickly go over my previous jam projects and tell you what has gone well and what has gone wrong. So I think practical examples are usually the best. All right. Why do we game jam? That's the question. First of all, and most importantly, it's about people. You are working in a teams. You are hopefully working with some new people, and you get to know them. And it should be a fun and social event. Don't forget that. So it's also about learning. This particular game jam is especially about learning new things and helping each other in your team. You can learn new game engines. You can learn to know better the game engines you already know. You can learn about different ways of making art. You can learn about teamwork. So I think it's an awesome opportunity to learn and practice your skills. Game jam is also about experiments. It's because it's such a limited time. You can really try to make something that you have always wanted to. You can try out some of your ideas. You can, if you're an artist, you can try out different art ideas you might have in your mind. So usually the games that have something unique in them get the better points as well. So try out some crazy ideas. It's just a one weekend after all. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But if it works, then you might discover something awesome. And it's about fun and competition. So these two things should go hand to hand. It's a competition. You get rewards, you get prizes, but it's also should provide you the fun. So if you get too anxious about the competition, then just think about the fun and don't worry about the results so much. All right, so I will begin this presentation with a small game. These are all different game jam games that have been made and have later developed into full big games. Who knows what game this one is? All right, can you tell me? Yes, it's Baba Is You. It was originally a Nordic game jam game project that grew out into one of the best indie games nowadays. All right, this is a Ludum Dare game. How many of you know what game this one is? All right, back there. Yep, it's a Proforce, also very popular like action platformer. It's about a lot of explosions and it was the initial prototype was made during the Ludum Dare 23. All right, this one should be well known. All right, let's raise hands. You. Yep, it's super hot. It was also initially a game jam game. It was actually a 7-day first-person shooter game, but still, the game started from a game jam, and now, again, one of the more popular game. All right, that might be a little bit more tricky. It's a winner of one of the game jams and was developed later. Who knows this game? Nope, no one. So this game, it's Evoland. So it's a game where you start with a very minimal graphics and options, and pretty much the game itself evolves over the time. And yeah, it was also brought to full release. All right, do you know this one? Back there. Yep, exactly. Surgeon Simulator. It was originally Global Game Jam game. This is the other Game Jam format that the University of Tartu also hosts sometimes. So, and there are actually many more examples. These are just the tip of an iceberg. I would say, like roughly estimated, about half of the indie games released in Steam have started from some Game Jam originally. But yeah, that's my gut feeling about that. So yeah. So now I will tell you my Game Jam journey and what I've learned by making different types of games, the pitfalls I've encountered, and yeah, let's have a little history. So when I was a kid, I always wanted to make games. And in my school years, in 2000 era, there was actually quite active community in Estonia, game developers. I mean, there were some forums like DM Games, and they also made game development competition there at that time. The primary game engine that most Estonian used were Game Maker, because yeah, the Unity was not as advanced at that time. And my first game jam experiences came exactly from those our own internal competitions. There were some competitions that for making winter style games. And this Limsi Mum, or in English Honeybee game was one of my first game jam game. I actually I made this game with Johan Tael, who later when I started studying in university and paused game development for a while, he continued and made Teleglitch, and that's also should be a game that all Estonian know, one of the earliest successful indie game. My first global game jam entry was also for Ludum Dare. At that time, nobody hosted these events in Estonia at least. So, but these are global events and people can just attend. So I did. I attended to the combo format, which is a 24-hour game jam. The theme was Tiny World, and I had always wanted to try out making this kind of like a side view planet simulator. That was something that seemed cool to me. So I made this bunny growing game where you were a little UFO flying around the planet, and you had to kill all the monsters with a laser beam and keep the bunnies alive. I made this game with web tools. I made it directly on Canvas. It was a really messy code. So in the last hour, I wrote the worst code in my life, pretty much. But I did it. I submitted on time, and the feeling that I got from this game, it was amazing. The whole next day, I walk around and I was just smiling all the time because it was so cool that I had made my own game and finished it. And Then a little afterwards, I tried another game jam alone, another Ludum Dare. This time the theme was where you are the villain, and I wanted to make this kind of factory building game inspired from Star Wars movie where there was this kind of droid factory, and I wanted to make pretty much the same like droid factory tycoon game. Unfortunately, this time I hadn't been so prepared for the game jam, and in the middle of the jam I couldn't finish it, so I had to cancel it. And yeah, a little while later, Factorio came out that had very similar game design, and and I thought that, well, I should have finished this game. Maybe I would have been I would have made Factorio myself. All right. Then a few years passed. I didn't make any games, but at some point of time we formed the APT game generator in Tartu. It was the collaboration between Tartu Art School or Higher Art School, Pallas, and also University of Tartu, where we came together. We started organizing events and also making game jams. And during the very first game jam, it was a global game jam. Its theme was ritual, and we decided to make this tribal war game or like tribal ritual where people get murdered. And it was supposed to be a all-out multiplayer skirmish with in a very dark world. And it turned out pretty well. We managed to make multiplayer. I actually won't recommend making a multiplayer game to anyone during the game jam. We just had a very good programmer at the time, and still it had a lot of bugs in the multiplayer, but it worked, and it was a cool game to play. So after making this Totem games game, we decided to continue developing it further, and we made this team of our own University of Tartu people and students and teachers and Tartu Art School students, and started continue making this game. And we rebranded it. It became Tropocalypse. We changed the core gameplay a bit, and yeah, it was supposed to have some base building and yeah, it was cool. And then after a while, the game development got slow. Some people spent their summer and at that time VR became really popular. So we thought that maybe it's time to also go ahead with the first VR boom and rebrand this game to VR. So yeah, it was a fiery discussion and decision, but in the end we decided to make a spin-off VR game out of it, like a bow shooting game. And in about six more months, and we released this Tropocalypse VR in Steam. It wasn't really very successful. It didn't sell very well. The VR itself, the initial wave wasn't as big as we expected either. But still, we managed to release this game that started from a game jam project. After that, I participated in many more game jams. So, for example, In Ludum Dare 36, the theme was Asian technology, and we made this kind of a clockwork game that had quite a unique gameplay where it was a puzzle game with the little lemmings who wanted to get to the center of the game world, and you could like turn the different wheels to guide them to the correct places. There were some obstacles, some enemies to hinder it, but yeah, you had to like change the level layout to get your guys to the correct locations. And I think it was quite a nice prototype. It had some bugs, some terrible bugs actually. Sometimes it just stopped working, but it still worked most of the time. So in the end, we managed to took the 3rd place. But yeah, it had some technical difficulties, and I think I made an all-nighter in the last night to get this rotating stuff working that I had architectured quite poorly. Then on the Ludum Dare 37, the theme was one room, and we decided to make this kind of a puzzle like machine building game, where you were also building where different buttons appeared, and you had to build machines to actually like press those buttons fast enough to keep the counter down. And this it also received a very cool tutorial that was like has a voiceover, and it was like funny, like an AI, like we used the text-to-speech option to make the AI talking to you and make jokes, and everyone pretty much loved it, and we got the 1st place. So it was quite a cool game. And afterwards, we also decided to do, well, if it performed so well, to maybe turn it into a full game. So this game was supposed to become Optimatica with better graphics and yeah, pretty much the same gameplay. However, like the bad decision here was that we decided to skip this original theme. So we or abandon this one room concept and add multiple rooms where you're building the machines. And I think this was kind of like a downfall, so that it turned out that the restriction of having one room actually made the game much more. The game made much more sense this way. So there were some other issues. Some teammates got other projects and couldn't continue. But yeah, I still kind of love this game idea and design. One day I will finish this game as well. All right. So then on Ludum Dare 38, the theme was a small world. And for this game jam, we decided to make this a game that takes place in a backpack or knapsack world. So pretty much the entire game taking place in an inventory where random items and enemies appeared, and the player had to like combine those different items together to make tools and weapons. Like if you combined like a stick and a stone, it would make an axe. And then if you combined 2 axes, you got a battle axe and some silly combinations, and then use those items to defeat the monsters that appeared with an increasing health. And yeah, it was really fun. It was a tiny little game. It was something that we actually managed to finish like a day before the submission. which meant that we had enough time to also produce enough content to the game to actually make it fun. So usually the main issue with Game Jam games is that that all the system come together at the very last minute, and you just don't have the content and balance that actually makes the game fun. But yeah, in this case we won the first place. Then on Ludum Dare 39, the team was running out of power, and for this game I wanted to experiment with the Boyd system. So this kind of flocking algorithm that allows to like move like a lot of objects around. And I got the idea from Diablo game that had like a Necromancer class where you had like a lot of skeletons, and wanted to try to make a game where you are the Necromancer or the evil lord and control a lot of skeletons. And the twist in this game was that the more skeletons you had, the more power they will consume. So they like had an upkeep. So you had to balance between adding 2 little skeletons that also the summoning skeletons took some power. So and adding too many of them so that they will just wear you down and spend too much of like passive upkeep. And it had a lot of systems like random room placements and items. But yeah, this was one of the games where we took a little bit too big of a bite, and it yeah, we finished it up, but we didn't have enough time to really balance it well and making it make the progress feel great. So it was a fun game, but not balanced because of the feature creep. All right, on Ludum Dare 40, we tried to make a 3D game. The theme this time, it was the more you have, the worse it is. So kind of similar to the previous one. And this time we decided to make something cute with bunnies, and pretty much a game of like growing bunnies and solving some puzzles. This was inspired from Slime Rancher, I guess. And the idea was that if there are too many bunnies, they will become evil and start eating other bunnies. But instead, what happened was that when you got too many bunnies, the game just got really laggy and crashed in the end. So I think it still fit the team in some theme in some sense, but and it was a nice game. We got the second place. Yeah, but not what we originally expected. Bunny Mayhem Simulator, it was called. That would destroy your computer. All right, so then a global game jam came up in 2019. The theme was what home means to you, and we wanted to make a homeless people like simulator. Another like cool concept that we wanted to try out. So what to do besides a simulator? So how to fit it into this time frame? We made first of all we tried this new art style of having like pixelated textures and like a very like low income like crimey environment. And what you would do in this game, you would like search for different items and then trade those items with NPCs to like get the items that you would eventually need. So I think yeah, so you had to like balance between between different items that and some little money you had to get favorable trades. This game didn't do so well. We probably also run out of the balance a bit. Then in Ludum Dare 42, there weren't an hosted event in Estonia, but I still decided to participate solo, and the theme was running out of space. And I made the game narrowing, inspired from these garbage collectors that you might have seen also in Star Wars movies. In the first Star Wars movie, there was this big beach garbage like crusher that was about to crush the people. So I made a very similar style game in Unreal Engine. The idea was that the entire room was filled with boxes, and the walls will slowly start crushing you. So you had to destroy those boxes like really fast to get through the next door. And yeah, those levels repeated, and it was quite a good game. And yeah, I read the comments, and they were really amazing on the Ludum Dare page. A lot of explosions. Everything was filled with tiny like pieces of those boxes. Then on APT Game Jam 2018, the theme was Unconventional Superpowers. This was our own like game jam. It was not connected to any global ones, and we decided to make this like a strategy game inspired by Mushroom Wars or those games where tiny characters are moving between nodes. And we decided to make we wanted to have this kind of fantasy theme, like in the Hobbit game, Hobbit like book, for example. And the idea was that there was a dragon who was controlling different factions, fighting against each other, but the dragon had got cold and couldn't use his like fire breathing superpower. And instead, what the dragon had was a huge pile of money. So instead of using like breathing fire, he had to bribe different factions to make them go in correct directions. And to be honest, I was really happy about this game. It was quite fun. It has multiple levels, but it didn't do so well. And one reason was that for the audience, this it didn't click to the theme so well. So what we had thought about that like dragon using like throwing bribing factions would be quite unconventional superpower was not so unconventional for the other people who played it. So the learning point here is that make your game's connection to the theme really obvious and apparent. Yeah. On Ludum Dare 44, the theme was Your Life is Currency. In this game jam, we wanted to try to make some really nice looking like 3D environments. This year might not look so good, but it was actually quite okay. The light builds failed sometimes, but overall, we made a good looking game that was quite boring in gameplay. The idea here was that you had to do some very like dangerous tasks that killed you all the time, and you had a limited number of clones to spend. So in the central area there were like cloning pods, and you could like really see that you played through this loop where you were born, and then you had to like finish those tasks in as few attempts as possible. And it was called That Will Cost You. All right. I've also tried out different Game Maker's Toolkit game jams. On this 2019 one, the theme was You Only Have One. And the story with this game jam was that initially I had much bigger like scope and idea what I wanted to do. But in the middle of the game jam, I saw that it wasn't feasible. There was just too many things left to do and too little time. So I pivoted. I made a quick time loop based game where you had to trade things between characters that had a beginning and an end. And we made it, we submitted it, and it was a game. So even if in the middle of game jam you discover that the idea is still too big, it's still possible to pivot and turn it into something simpler and doable. Repurpose the art and code that you have and still finish the game. Some other game on some other APT game jam, we tried to make an environmental game where you grew different plants like carrots and learn about different plants. But yeah, it didn't turn out too well. The gameplay was lacking a bit. On Game Maker's Toolkit Jam 2020. The theme was out of control, and this time we managed to do a really small game. In this game, the idea was that there was this huge like mech that was controlled by like different actions. It was moving up, down, left, right, and some of those actions were like randomly like locked. You couldn't change them. But instead, you could assign some other actions to the green like slots. So you had to try to control the mech and not crush any people or any lab stuff and get a glitchy robot to where it was supposed to go. So yeah, try to assign moves so it won't do any harm. It was quite a nice little game. It didn't got any awards, but yeah, I think it was a nicely scoped game overall. Then last year in Youth Game Jam, the very first one, I was working with a student team. And the theme was stuck in a loop. So we this time we wanted to make a game that was kind of a time loop game. Just recently, a very similar game that actually inspired this game jam game came out. It is called 12 Minutes. It came like last month. It was released in last month, and our game was quite similar to this one. So you were stuck in an airplane with a bomb, and you had to like find a solution to defuse it before the time ran out. So you were playing it over and over. It was also inspired. There is also a similar movie about that takes place in a train. Do you know what this movie is called? Yeah, Source Code. I think it was that had a very similar setting and inspired this game. So then in this spring there was an UT Pro Game Jam where the theme was Lost and Found. And for this game jam we made this Lost Space Founder game that was like kind of an idle game where you were lost in some randomly generated galaxy, and had to find the way back to home. So you had to build different structures to the planets to make them generate more fuel. And even though it didn't got any awards, it was also, we were really happy about how the game turned out, and it was a cool game. We personally really like to play it, so that's what counts in the end. So even if it turns out that your game doesn't win anything, or the audience doesn't like it, still finish it, you might still end up with a good game. There is a lot of competition nowadays. And just recently, in this September, there was Epic Megacham for Unreal Engine. This was a week-long game jam that I originally didn't plan to attend, but in the end I did, because I got a cool idea of making container cities in the middle of ocean and trying not to get them fall over. And yeah, I ended up making it alone. And in like 1 or 2 days before the deadline, I was really desperate. I really understood how big of a task I have taken. There was a lot of different systems I had in mind. Like, you were like connecting those containers together to like with cables to like share power, but also to connect them, anchor them together so they will be more secure. And but in the end, I gathered all my energy, and I still managed to finish it. And yeah, people really like this game. You can check it out. It's a really cool game. I hope I will also win some awards in the middle of October when they are announced. So let's see how it does. But yeah, sometimes games can be about anything, about building, about growing food. It doesn't always have to be about fighting either. All right, so these are my game jams. I hope you got some ideas, some things that you shouldn't do, and I have done. So now here are some of the recommendations for you. First of all, before the game jam, so you have today's evening to prepare. So use the time, install all the software, come up with your team, encourage each other, like make the base project, make sure that everything is working. There won't be any technical difficulties. Also set up your kit, make sure that everyone is able to make commits, and you can also like spend some time and develop some main classes that you would need during the game jam, like different components for playing the audio and particle effects and such. So then when the Saturday comes, you can concentrate on actually making the game, not setting up your software. Then during the game jam, really commit. So everyone in a team should like give their maximum to make the best possible game. So don't let your teammates down, and put your best effort into the game development to make the winner game. And also, maybe you're an artist and you have finished your work early, and there's no more art to be made. Then don't just leave and leave your teammates to struggle to make a game. Help them out, motivate them. There is always something that you can do. You can play test the game. You can try to balance it, playtest it, make sure that all the numbers work out. You can, even if you are not a sound guy, you can still maybe listen through some open sound assets and maybe try to find some better sound effects and missing sound effects. Usually, the problem with game jam games is that not that the sound effects are bad. There is just too few of them because it's usually the last thing that's being made. So like really encourage your teammates. Also, if everyone else is working, you can try to set up the jam page, upload some images there, make sure that you are able to upload the game and there is no last minute issues in there either. So that the poor developers who are struggling compiling the game will have a smooth run through the end. And yeah, and start really wrapping up the game like hour before the release time. Otherwise, you might not make it. And finally, enjoy the game jam. It's fun after all. Share your progress with others. There is a Discord channel. If you have made something cool or some good-looking graphics or something that you want to show, just make a GIF or make a screenshot, send it to others, and this way it will be more exciting to everyone. So, and finally, it's a competition. There are rewards, but in the end, the biggest reward is the game that you have made. So in the original Ludum Dare, there weren't any rewards to the people. It was purely meant for that the game was meant to be the reward. And still, I remember back to these early days where I made this Planet game. This remembered back to the feeling where I was just happy about the game that I've made, and that was what mattered. And the new friends that you make along the way. So don't evolve the other like the people that you might know, not only because it's required to teach new people, but also to get more connections. The people in your team are someone whom you might end up working together. So yeah, I recommend you to mix up the teams a bit and find new friends. So thank you. These were my tips. This was my journey through game jams. And to wrap it up, I'm not taking part of this particular game jam, but I'm developing a game called Plastronaut. I've been developing like over a year and a half, and I'm planning to release it in the next spring. But I have a little issue. I still have a lot of wishlists to collect, and it's known fact that Steam won't promote your game unless you have at least 10,000 wishlists. Until then, it will silently hide your game and push it, make it disappear. So hit that wishlist button in my game in Steam and help me out. So thank you. Do you have any questions about game jams? Yep. Where exactly do you have to submit the game jam? There is our own custom game jam submission page that is linked in the Discord. Yeah, we will make sure that everyone knows about the link. However, make sure that you test out this platform beforehand. You have to register the teams. You have to make sure that you can actually submit, and then you need to make sure that you that you also add enough things to you fill out everything correctly. So assign one of your teammates to make it clear. Also, in those mission pages, try to add some upload some pictures in there as well. Also add some controls to really help out the players, because in the end, if the people who are playing your game can't play it or don't know how to play it, they won't give you good points either. So yeah, make this page pretty and informative. But also one thing that I forgot to tell you was make your game also really easy to learn, or add a very good tutorial in there. The Optimatica game, for example, like the main reason why it got so far was because the tutorial itself was so fun. The tutorial was it had jokes. It was interesting to play. So and yeah, everyone just learned it really well by playing the tutorial. So even if you're making a complex game, you can always make a tutorial that's fitting to the game. Any other questions? All right, thank you very much. I hope you got some insights about how to proceed your game jam.